What is up, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Monday, August 26th here with Travis Mangone talking today's 6-game MLB slate. A little bit shorter. Some early games, but the main slate on DraftKings, 6 games to choose from. Here to break it down with me is Mangone. Travis, how you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Yeah, Mondays are always the shorter slates, but that's okay. Mondays and Thursdays, and then we got the big ones on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But we'll break it all down. I'm subbing in for JT. Don't worry, you'll get your dose of JT some other time. He'll pick up one of my shows. So he's traveling, so hopefully safe travels for him. And baseball, it feels like it's winding down a little bit. Yes, it's not going to be over, but it does feel like it's winding down a bit here with football right around the corner. I already saw the college football stuff got posted by DraftKings this week, and they got a team called Lindenwood on one of the slates, DC. So get ready to figure out some football players you've never heard of, basically.
So if you're not a football fan at all, which does not apply to either of us or, frankly, probably most of the people watching this show, baseball's not winding down, right? It is like actually kind of heating up. I mean, there's playoff races in both.
The playoff races are good this year.
Like you would never say that, football is winding down coming into the last month of the season and we're jockeying for playoff positioning. So I don't think that's actually true, but I absolutely get your sentiment, Mangone, where it does feel, even for someone like me who loves baseball, who still watches baseball almost every night, just like I have done all season. Still, I'm still playing every slate, but you can't hide the excitement for not only NFL, but college football. Just a lot of baseball slates that we've played at this point in the year. So it's easy to, I think it's kind of natural to kind of look forward to a little bit of something new, especially if you're massive football fans like we are. And, I would say baseball is like my favorite sport overall, but favorite sport to gamble on, nothing better than an NFL Sunday. I mean, I even got really into, NFL showdowns last year. Obviously, we have an awesome showdown crew here at RPS. So I do totally understand the sentiment. And, what are we, 10 days away from Chiefs-Ravens on Thursday night? And then less than 2 weeks now, 13 days away from the first NFL Sunday of the year. I'm with you on that part. I couldn't be more excited for football. Obviously excited for college football weekend coming up here, too. So I'm with you, Mangone.
Yeah, only one more Sunday too, where I have to wait to sit with Scott Hansen, right? So excited for that. So,
I'm not we'll disagree on this. I'm not really a Scott Hansen sitter. I need, I don't know, my ADD or whatever it is. I need to be able to see all the games at once. The Red Zone channel, I know you can have multiple TVs. If there's action, I need to be able to turn around somewhere. So a lot of times it's the the bar with the laptop for me is kind of my Sunday grinding station.
Yeah, I let Scott do it for me, and I also have another TV where I can adjust as well. So I don't just go with one, but I like having him at least kind of guide the ship, and I can fix the rest basically.
I think a lot of people go with your style, but no, I'm like looking around at trying to watch every single play, and I absolutely love it. But it is definitely a little stress-inducing, that's for sure. But it's at least it feels like a good kind of stress. And being there. Normally you sit with Chris Hansen, so Scott Hansen, and then I'm great over that pretty good from being there. But enough football talk. I think we know, both of us have been in the best ball streets. JSU, who's been grinding these best balls since, since maybe before baseball season began. I'm not sure, but back then. He is hosting, I think, an RPS coordinator for best ball drafts on our channel here. I think they're all going to be free, or most of them anyway. I'll be jumping on there at some point. I'm sure you will too. So we'll have those to lead up to the season, getting ready for that. But with that, enough football talk for real. Let's get into this slate. I do think it's a pretty interesting one for kind of one specific reason. We'll get there on game number 4 when we talk about Detroit and the White Sox. But for now, we will start in Boston in Fenway Park for Orioles and Red Sox. Total of 9 in this one. Boston sitting around minus 142. Jose Barrios going to pitch for the Blue Jays on the road against a lefty-heavy team. looks like kind of a bad spot for Barrios here with these Red Sox bats who I've been playing a lot of Red Sox lefties against righties in general. And then Cooper Criswell, rather, get a pitch for the Red Sox, kind of a soft tossing right-handed pitcher. Hasn't had, a ton of success lately. He did pitch pretty well last time out against Houston, had been knocked around his couple starts before that. Has had to face a very tough schedule, so maybe not quite as bad as his recent results would indicate. Nevertheless, though, I don't think he's really in play versus the Blue Jays here. And I don't think Jose Barrios is in play either. 6-game slate, limited options, but neither of these pitchers making the cut on my own 5 teams. And then I think you could go to either side for bats here, but it is the Red Sox side here against Barrios that I actually prefer, despite Barrios being a better overall pitcher than Criswell is. I just think this matchup sets up better for the Red Sox bats. But over to you, man. What are you doing with Toronto Blue Jays and Boston Red Sox? You're muted. Muted, Mango.
I'm muted like an idiot. So I meant to say the early games for FanDuel, they're on the slate. I'm not saying we can talk about them, but FanDuel does have them. So it's just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
If anyone cares. But this game obviously is going to be a premier game of the slate, right? Any game in Boston pretty much lines up. It's a game with a lot of really good totals in general, and this is definitely one of them that we definitely have to have some exposure to. For one, Winkowski is definitely someone that we can target a ton.
Yeah, I thought it was. I had Criswell. That's what DraftKings still has.
Oh, they still have him? Okay.
I do think it's going to be Winkowski, but again, not certain. Yeah, I'll look into it here.
To be honest, whoever it is, I don't think it matters, right? It's gonna be rough. So the Blue Jays have to be in play, especially the way that they're swinging the bat right now. It's just been for probably the past 3 weeks, and honestly, Vlad Guerrero, it's been all summer. You gotta like these guys, so they're definitely in the conversation today. I think the Red Sox are definitely in play too against Barrios, but I mean, one thing I'll compare, and I think this is a good thing to do on most slates, is if you look at Saber, we have him on Saber. They have the Red Sox at a 5.1 total. And they're getting ownership on this slate. If you compare it to all these other teams, other teams that have similar totals, the Padres, the Cardinals, the Tigers, obviously the Rockies and the Marlins, both in course. It doesn't seem like Barrios is your typical guy to want to target. It is shocking that there's a Red Sox have a 5 total against him. So that's something definitely to think about too when you're rostering these guys. Obviously, Rafael Devers is going to be a great play. He was one of my favorite plays the other day, made him the play of the day, and he hit a home run. I'll be looking at him, and I want to see how lefty heavy the Red Sox get. They can get very lefty heavy, right? With Duran, Abreu, Casas. They have O'Neill, who's a great righty. So I do want to see that lineup. I'm still waiting on it. If it gets really lefty heavy, I think we got to definitely look to load up on them. But I want to wait and see what that lineup's going to look like. I think that's going to be very important with this team. So overall, this is a good game, but this is a game around a game. This is a slate with a lot of really strong totals. And I just do worry about targeting Jose Barrios, when there's other good totals on the slate.
Yeah, so we know Barrios is much worse away from home. That's kind of been a thing for him throughout his career. He obviously has got to go on the road here. He's worse against lefties. This year, those numbers are a little bit different, but, underlying stuff especially, he still is worse against lefties. More home runs going up, more walks by far. Just the BABIP is low for him against lefties this year. And then, it's a little weird. We don't have do we have either lineup? I don't think Blue Jays lineup is out yet either. Which is a little strange for 2 hours here before the game, a little bit more than 2 hours. But assuming it's the normal Red Sox lineup, which I think it most likely will be, they're probably going to start off with the 4 lefties, Duran, Abreu, Casas, Devers. You'll probably have Yoshida and Hamilton in there. You can run a little bit on Barrios, so guys like Hamilton, Duran especially get a boost. And I think the Red Sox could tee off on Barrios here. I think that total is indicative of what's going to happen in this game. Doubleheader. I hadn't really looked, frankly, at the early slate much, so that makes sense. And then, depending on who starts for the Red Sox, it does look like it's going to be Zach Kelly opening. I think that just got confirmed I assume it'll just be an inning or two for him. And then I guess either Criswell or Winkowski. I mean, you kind of nailed it, man. Going regardless of who it is, it is a good spot for the Blue Jays here. So bad Red Sox bullpen here. I think we're going to see runs in Fenway today. And honestly, it's not that great of a slate for offense overall. So this is a game I will be targeting. Again, I'm going to stick with the Red Sox side. It's my favorite way to go. But I do think you can, certainly play either side. And King Mall. If we finish early, we can go back and look at those FanDuel games. We probably will get out of here a little bit or finish these 6 games a little bit early. We can go back, look at some FanDuel after that. Let's move on then to Atlanta, Minnesota. 8 total in this one. 2 good pitchers going here. Bailey Ober for the Twins, Max Fried for the Braves. It's been a little shaky for Fried recently. He hasn't been bad, but hasn't had the big strikeout stuff for the most part. Does get a decent matchup here against the Twins. And then, I think you could say the same thing for Ober. He has pitched very well overall for Minnesota this year. He has had a very, very overall soft schedule. Been a little bit more difficult recently. He still pitched pretty decently. So I do think Ober is interesting here for the Twins. And I think you could look to Max Fried as well. Neither of these two are my, in my top 3, but I think both guys in consideration. In terms of bats in this game, I do think the Braves side is the better one. Ober gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of home runs. Fried, even when he's off, it's rare to really tee off on him. So, that's kind of where I stand on this one. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to have much of this game overall. That's kind of my take on Atlanta, Minnesota. What are you doing with this one, Mango?
2 teams I hate. Like they're up there on the teams I hate in the league. So I'm out on Twins and Braves. I don't like the bats here at all. I actually don't mind the pitching. Bailey Ober, we talked about this probably like a month ago, and he's been good even in like the tougher matchups, but like he just felt like he was very matchup sensitive, like where like if he's got an easy matchup, just play him. And honestly, the Braves are an easy matchup right now, right? Like I at least I think they are. Maybe others disagree, but Whit Merrifield up at the top, Soler, Ozuna, Olsen, D'Arnaud, Laureano, Kalenic, Urshela, and Arcia. Like that is not a scary lineup. I think Bailey Ober is firmly in play today. I think he's definitely a good option. He is owned, though. I think it's worth calling out. He is going to be 40% owned on DraftKings today. Now, that's a big debate. What do you do with that? Because that could be the highest owned. Let me just double check and make sure. No, he is the 3rd highest. Obviously, there's 2 others that we'll get to that are in the best pitching park of pretty much every single slate whenever it's out there. But Bailey Ober has to be in play for me. I know he's going to have some ownership. I'm okay with that. Max Fried's the interesting one at 8,700 because I'm okay with targeting the Twins, but one thing I know this Twins team is normally pretty good at, and they did it today, is they just got really righty heavy. I mean, they only have 1 lefty in that lineup. Royce Lewis is back in the lineup as well. So at 20% ownership, I actually don't think I'm going to love Fried as much, especially with the lineup that the Twins put out. And I think Ober is clearly the better play than Fried, even at double the ownership. So I like Bailey Ober. I do not like much of the bats. I would say this. I definitely like Royce Freeman as a one-off, and I wouldn't hate Twins mini stacks against Max Fried, but that's really it. So it's mainly looking at the Twins minis and Bailey Ober. And like I said, even at his 40% ownership, I think he's a good play. You're going to have to make a decision. Is he better play than the guys in Seattle and Tampa? I mean, that's going to be a good debate to have because, I don't think that he is either. I agree with you on that, but because it's going to be equal ownership. But if you force me to pick between Ober and Fried, I'm going to like Ober for sure over him. But I do agree. That late night hammer game of Seattle and Tampa, that's the game that I'm going to want to target with the pitchers.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm not going to be on much Ober is give me Miller and Pepio, add one, a little bit of a discount. That's not very important on the slate. Honestly, it's a little bit difficult to even spend your money if you don't spend up at pitching. And Coors Field tonight, it's still Coors, but it doesn't look that enticing, I don't think. I do like both Miller and Pepio. We'll talk about that game last, of course. Better than Ober. Ober's still a fine play. A couple notes with the Twins bullpen, who do have one of the better bullpens in baseball. It's led by two kind of lights out guys, Yohan Duran and Griffin Jax. Both of those guys have pitched. They both pitched on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm not sure they're completely unavailable, but Twins will be very hesitant to use those guys. I think we would need to see like a tie game or something in the ninth inning, maybe extra innings, and then maybe they'd roll them out there. That's my guess on that. Again, not 100% sure, but I do think that actually weirdly it helps the Braves bats if you do want to get contrarian against a popular pitcher who does give up quite a few home runs, frankly. And two, I think it helps Ober himself because it gives him more leash in this game. If he's pitching well, Rocco Baldelli, Twins manager, will want him to go deep with trying to get the Twins' best bullpen arms a rest here. So can kind of play both sides. No Braves bats for you. I mean, against a 40% Ober, it kind of makes some sense. I mean, he gives up a lot of home runs.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does make sense. I hate the Braves, though. They will be, like, not owned at all. It's a 6-game slate.
I mean,
I get it. Like, I just think, like, it depends on what kind of player you are. I just don't play them all season long. Like, if you're the guy that wants to play, like, low-owned Braves, like, I get it. I just don't.
You want the power, right? Soler, Ozuna, Olsen, Kelenic. Like I'm not playing Merrifield or Urshela or Arcia, but against Ober, give me some of that low-owned power as leverage. Probably just one or two, on non-Ober teams. Yeah, I'm not full stacking the Braves, but thinking about a little bit more.
It makes sense. I can see it makes sense from like a mini stack perspective because like if you look at the slate and some of the offenses that like we're definitely going to consider and you look at the totals, like the Cardinals are a pretty cheap offense. The Tigers are in a great spot and they're a pretty cheap offense. So like you do have some cheap offenses that it works. Like even the Blue Jays can be cheap at times. So I don't know. Maybe you could talk me into it a little, but I just typically just X them out and move on pretty much every slate.
Marcell Ozuna looks like the best play on the Braves to me if you are trying to pick off one single batter. All right, we'll move it on to the next game on the slate. It is San Diego and St. Louis. This one in St. Louis. Going to be hot and humid. Going to be that way in Minnesota, too. I didn't mention the weather, but ball should be fine. Also, should have mentioned Mark Wegner umpiring for the Braves Twins game. So one of the better hitters umpires. He's tough on pitchers if you're looking for another reason to try to get off of a chalky Bailey Ober. But over back to San Diego and St. Louis, Randy Vasquez, Kyle Gibson, as I mentioned, hot, humid, a 9 total in this one. St. Louis, very slight favorites. These pitchers actually profile somewhat similarly in that they're both much worse against left-handed bats. Vasquez in particular has gotten absolutely crushed by lefties. He's actually pitched okay in general, but a real struggle for him against left-handed bats. Cardinals have several options there. Burleson, Nootbaar, Donovan. I don't think I'm playing Matt Carpenter and Victor Scott. So Donovan, Nootbaar, and Burleson would be the 3 to play. Obviously, you can fill in a stack there if you want to against Vasquez. Really tough bullpen for the Padres behind Vasquez, so do be aware of that. And then Kyle Gibson, I mean, a serviceable pitcher at times, but someone who it does go south for him, fairly frequently. Some of these Padres lefties, Profar, Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill's been a hero for them this year. I do think are pretty interesting plays. Ball should be flying here in St. Louis as it will be in Minnesota. Over to you, Mangone. What are you doing with Cardinals and Padres here?
Yeah, when it comes to Cardinals and Padres, I think this is a great game to target. One, you get the Padres out of Petco Park, right? Like, that's always nice. Like, teams like Seattle, when they pop off, it's when they're out of that crappy park, right? Like, this is a great spot, I think, for Padres to really have a nice bounce-back performance. They're going up against Kyle Gibson. To be fair, Kyle Gibson is not really a guy I love targeting, but I don't think Gibson profiles well here. Gibson profiles well in matchups against, like, I feel like, more strikeout teams. Like this team does not strike out.
Strikeout heavy, like you give me like Gibson, like in Seattle. I mean, any pitcher in Seattle, but those like strikeout heavy right-handed teams. Gibson can't. You nailed it. I think this is a pretty bad spot for Gibson, honestly.
Yeah, like there's just certain pitchers where like it doesn't like line up well. Like Garrett Cole is someone that, yeah, he gives up the long ball at times. So if it was like a really big power lineup, that's a spot where it couldn't have lined up. I know they're different caliber pitchers, but you get what I'm saying. Like there might be a guy that's a fly ball pitcher, and it's just a lot of, guys that hit fly balls, right? Rather than the ground ball rate. So it just doesn't line up well for Gibson for me, where I think this Padres team is pretty interesting. Also, if you look at Saberson, they're higher on that Padres total. You look at some of the Vegas lines, they're higher on that as well. I don't know if Sabres accounting for that, but and they're just in agreement, so I don't want to double account for it. But the point I'm getting at is it feels like this is a spot that we want to get some more exposure to. So I definitely like this Padres team. I want to play these bats. Manny Machado obviously is a good option. Profar, Merrill. I mean, up and down, they're absolutely loaded. The one guy I'm not like dying to play, like if you look at the bottom of the order, guys, David Peralta at 2,500, pinch hit risk too, just like not a lot of upside. I don't mind Kyle H. I never attempt his last name. So Kyle H. is a catcher that has some power that I'm happy to play. And then Mason McCoy, I'm not saying I want to play him, but he's 2K. Just that alone, you could probably put him in play. And it's at shortstop, right? If you want to punt the position, but I don't want to have builds that are just like loading up on like that bottom of the order. Maybe max one of those guys because I want to have the top 6. I mean, there's a lot of good plays in there. I want to attack Kyle Gibson with them. Also, they're on the road, so they get the 9th inning at bat. That's another encouraging part as well. And DC, I don't know if you know, it's 94 degrees there in St. Louis today. Like this is the game for me. I think a lot of people are going to go to other spots, and I'm just going to try to get some exposure to this one. I think it's a really good game, so I'll load up on that. As we keep moving along, let's talk about the Cardinals because I haven't discussed them probably enough on this slate. Mason Wynn, Burleson, Arenado, Nootbaar. I mean, that top 4 is all just really cheap with a lot of power. I'm not scared of Vasquez either. I do know the Padres do have a good bullpen, but if Vasquez is getting beat up, they're not going to waste those bullpen arms. I don't know if they use the bullpen arms that much against the Mets. Maybe can you look up their bullpen usage real quick, DC, just because that was a really big series against the Mets where these teams are fighting for the wild card. And they may have used those guys up a bit. They also were in like a very tight 3-2 game yesterday. So that the Mets ended up blowing because they're the Mets. But what was the usage on that? You got that up?
I guess just to sum it up, the Padres bullpen fully available. I think they don't have anybody that they wouldn't use in this game. So not ideal, especially, I mean, I know like if both teams score, right? If it's 4-4 in the 5th inning, the good Padres relievers are going to pitch, and the Cardinals are relatively rested too. I'm with you. I still do like both these teams, but could be definitely a better spot, with the bull. Like if the Padres, if neither team had lefties or the Padres bullpen was gassed, it would be a better spot. I still think it's a good one to go to. I would do it more though as a single stack rather than the game stack. Because, again, you want a lopsided game where they do save their good relievers, right?
No, yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm with you. Like Cardinals, like the Padres, I think both teams are definitely in play. I know the Cardinals, like they lost their catcher, right? So that's an unfortunate part about it. And the lineup's a little weaker, but Vasquez is not good. So I'm perfectly fine with taking chances there on the Cardinals. But I prefer the Padres side if I had to pick one. And then, obviously, I'm not playing any of the pitchers here.
Yeah, we got pretty much the same take there on San Diego and St. Louis. Brings us to Detroit and the Chicago White Sox. A very interesting spot here. We've got a 4K rookie pitcher making his debut for the Detroit Tigers, Ty Madden. And there's a lot going on here with Ty Madden. I'm sure we're going to spend some time on this game. Davis Martin pitching for the White Sox. He's actually pitched okay. I'm not a believer in his. I do like the Tigers, who I've been playing these lefties against mediocre right-handed starters quite a bit. So I do think the Tigers are in play. And then I guess I'll just talk a little bit about Ty Madden because I probably have answers to most of the questions you might have, Mango. And I do think this is an important decision on this slate, what to do with the 4K pitcher. Frankly, is this the best lineup against the White Sox right now? I mean, maybe the Rockies on the road is close, but just an elite matchup for Ty Madden, who has kind of a lot going on here, a little bit to talk about. One, if you just look at the surface stats, you look up his AAA numbers this year, your first reaction is going to be, there's no way I can play this guy. He's got a 7.9 ERA across 18 starts. 7.9 at AAA Toledo this year, which is not even, like a crazy bad pitcher's parks or whatever. So certainly the on-surface results for Madden have not been good. But if you look further into those results, one, they have a 395 BABIP, batting average on balls in play. That would be the worst number in Major League Baseball over that big of a sample size. 58% strand rate. Again, that would be dead last, and 21% home run per fly ball given up. So when batters are making contact with them, it's finding hits at a way higher rate. When he lets guys on base, he's letting them score at a 1% outcome rate. And if they're hitting fly balls, they're going over the fence. He is getting strikeouts. He's up near 11.5 strikeouts per 9, a lot of walks as well. He's a former first-round pick back in 2021. He's probably going to sit 96, 97, 98 with the fastball and Mangone. His last 5 pitch counts in his last 5 starts at AAA are 4 of them are over 100, between 101 and 109, and the other one was like 97. So he is a true full-time starter. I believe he is the Detroit Tigers' top pitching prospect still, despite the horrific ERA this year in AAA. And I think he's got some real talent. Obviously, the results have not been good, but my inclination is to play him here. I mean, you strip it all away. He's a 4K pitcher who we think is going to throw close to 100 pitches against maybe the worst lineup in all of baseball. So that is, I think, going to lead to some ownership. Sabres got him at 17% at the moment. I think it'll go over that. But the final piece of this puzzle, Mangone, I don't know if you've built any lineups or run the sims. You don't really need Ty Madden today. The bats are not that expensive. So if this was a slate with the Yankees, right, where we want to play Soto and Judge and Stanton, if the Dodgers were on the slate, if the Coors Field game was better, I would absolutely be slamming Madden into my lineups, like maybe all 5 lineups. I probably won't go that far today just because you don't necessarily need to. If you're not on some of these expensive stacks, like you're going to have salary left over to get up to some of the better pitchers if you want to do that. So that throws just another variable into the discussion. And then the final thing, I think teams that play Madden are going to look similar because it's almost hard to spend all your salary. So you're going to fall on the same expensive bats that everybody else does who plays this guy. So I do think it's important to keep that in mind and maybe try to get different somewhere else, at least a little bit, if you are including Madden into your lineups. Long spiel for me on him, but I think pretty important information. And I guess, to sum it all up, I am still going to be over the field if he's anywhere close to this 15 to 20% number. I'm probably going to play him on 3 of my 5. But, depending on how things break, that could be 2, could potentially be all 5. If I can find 5 good enough lineups that I like that spend the salary that include Ty Madden. So long talk there. I will say I do think the White Sox are also, they're almost never in play, but I think they are here. And the final thing, his big issue has been home runs, right? And giving up all these hits. But, who on the White Sox is really going to do damage via the long ball against this guy? They just don't have anybody. I mean, Luis Robert, of course, but man, beyond him, there's just almost no power on this team. All the strikeouts. Yeah, I'll let you talk, man. See you getting bored over there. Talk to us. Detroit and Chicago White Sox.
I mean, it's information people need, so I definitely agree. I do disagree on there's a little more power on that team with Robert, Vaughn, and Sheets, but am I scared of it? No. I think the best point that you brought up was I just don't think we need the salary relief today, right? If you had Judge and Ohtani, all those bats that you talked about, that's great. If I let me just pull up the DK slate and pull up the hitters. So the most expensive hitter on the slate is Brenton Doyle at 6K. That's just not what DFS slates we've been playing lately, right? We've had DFS slates where there's stud bats hitting home runs every day that are like 6K and above, and it's like multiple. Like it's just not the same slate where I just don't think we need it. Now
you definitely don't need to play. I totally agree with that. Like he's not, I mean, yeah, it's just not a necessary play. 100% agree.
Yeah, I would think, and I mean, I haven't ran teams like with him to see what they would look like, but I bet you those teams are not 5-mans as much, and they're more like 4-3-1s or something weird like that, or even like 4-2-2s. So I don't need to play it. I understand the play, but I don't need to play it. So not for me. I get it though. When it comes to these Tigers team, I mean, I think they're really a good play today. They've been hitting the ball well. I feel like I need to just keep playing them at this point right now. And for me, I'm trying to avoid most of Coors. I won't avoid the Rocky side just because of Cabrera. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think the Tigers are definitely a really good offense that I want to be overweight on. And I don't need to play White Sox. Like if it's a one-off because you need like a Vaughn or a Sheets, I think those guys are fine. But do not load up on the main stacks of them, right? I don't need 5-mans and 4-mans of White Sox. Mainly minis, they're okay. And I don't need the pitchers here. I think all the pitchers are fades for me. There's other pitchers that I'm looking to target.
So final points here. We'll move on. Steven Kreitzen, you're not worried about him getting shelled. White Sox are still MLB players. I mean, he definitely could get shelled. Like anybody could. And he's a 4K pitcher. Like, of course, it could go south. I don't really worry about the bottom, 40% outcomes for a pitcher that much playing GPPs because it doesn't matter all that much if you get, a 0% outcome or you get a 33, like you're still going to need 10 plus from this guy to get it done. So it doesn't, if he scores 5 or -10, doesn't really matter all that much. Of course it matters a little bit, but not really. You're already eliminated essentially from the top spots in tournament builds. So yeah, I mean, he's risky for sure, but all 4K pitchers are going to come with some risk. And if they have no risk, they're going to be 90% owned, right? So yeah, I think that's fair.
DC, I would have considered him more if like Pepio and Miller were priced up. Like if you had 10K pitchers on this slate, I think it'd be more intriguing, but that's just the problem. I just don't think we need the salary. That's the issue.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree on the fact that you don't need it. You can build a very good lineup using the 2 chalk pitchers and getting reasonable bats. I did want to address the second point. Chicago White Sox guys are still MLB players. I mean, that's only half true. 5 or 6 guys in this lineup would only be in the lineup for the White Sox. Like Luis Robert is really the only quality MLB player on this team. I mean,
I think Vaughn and Sheets are. Like, you don't think they are?
No, they're not. They wouldn't be playing on most teams. They're, below league average hitters who are first basemen and DHs. Like that's not they're just not good hitters. They just don't have any good hitters. And you're talking about a guy who's probably going to throw 100 pitches. The Tigers have no reason not to let him go in the best possible matchup, and he's 4K. So I think he's a good play. Again, of course, he could get blown up, but I do feel like in general, these types of plays do work out. We did get one specific question about FanDuel, playing him on FanDuel. He's 5,500 over there. He's the cheapest pitcher. I'm going to go ahead and nod and say that I usually play 1 or 2 FanDuel lineups. I'm going to try to get some more action over there because the Yankees are on the slate against a bad lefty. You've got the Phillies as well, the Astros. The 3 extra games or 4 extra games. They're pretty enticing to me. So I
just don't think you need to. I don't think you need to play him on.
You don't, but you have Judge and Soto, and you got some actual big backs to spend on. So I actually think he is arguably a better play on FanDuel. Last point with Ty Madden, I do think there's risk, no question about it. I do think he could be the SP1 on this slate. I think he's got enough talent. The matchup's good enough. He's got the duration. He should get plenty of run support. I think he can for sure go 6 innings if things are going his way. Again, I'm not going to make that call that he's SP1 today, but he absolutely could do it. So final conclusion for me, I guess we're going to end up differing. I think he's a very strong play today. Mangone thinks you don't necessarily need him, which I don't even disagree with that point. White Sox, if you're trying to go against this guy, I think Luis Robert is by far your best option. I really don't see anyone else that it's going to be tough for me to click on anyone else, frankly. What about the Tigers bats, Mangone? Talk to us about what you're doing there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Tigers bats are definitely in play, and they're pretty good plays. I mean, this Tigers team has been hitting the ball well. I think, and like I said, I want to be lower on Coors today. That's kind of one of the stances I want to take. It's the first game in Coors. Typically, that first game is normally a dud. It's two bad teams. It's not super hot today, too. I guess that helps as well a little bit. I mean, I'm grasping at straws to find the Coors fade, but Slide's been better, right? Parker Meadows, Riley Green, Verling, Carpenter, Colt Keith, Torkelson. Jung is a nice punt option. You had Uncle T at the bottom of the order, so it's a good lineup. Like good lineup is probably a little too far, but it's the best lineup they've been putting out all year. They're clicking well, and they're going against the Chicago White Sox, right? Like it's very simple. There's so many stars that align here. It's 90 degrees. Like you just gotta be playing them right now at this point.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the Tigers. I think they win this game. I think they put up some big numbers too, and yeah, Davis Martin, like for sure. I think Ty Madden is the better pitcher, even right now, of the two, and certainly has the better matchup. Not that people are considering playing Davis Martin here, at least I'm not. But I don't think I've talked enough about Ty Madden. I've made my points. I don't need to go over everything again. But I'm with you on these Tigers bats, these lefties. I'm going to be, as long as they stay healthy and stay, at least modestly productive. It's Meadows, Carpenter, no Riley Green, looks like in the lineup, which does suck. It's one of the bets you could have spent on, but I guess it does make the stack cheaper overall. I'm in on the Tigers bats with Mangone here. Let's get to Miami and Colorado. This one in Coors Field. Mangone, you mentioned not the warmest weather today, but still going to play hitter friendly, of course. Going to be around 75, 80 degrees. Ryan Feltner going for the Rockies. Edward Cabrera for the Miami Marlins. So not the two worst pitchers that these squads employ, but still, you got to think that Coors gets some runs here. This feels like the games, Mangone, where it's like, it's not that good of a spot. I don't can fake Coors. These feel like the games that always end up like 9-7 somehow. So I don't know. It's very uninspiring individual bats, but could see this game popping off anyway. Sounds like you're going to try to be lower on these bats, Mangone, but talk to us Miami and Colorado and Coors tonight.
Yeah, the only reason I don't want to be completely under on the bats in this game, like I think Marlins side I'm okay to be under on. Like that's the side I'm willing to. I feel like Cabrera is definitely worth targeting, right? Like if you look at, I'm trying to pull up the numbers. Okay, so his walk rate. I don't have his walk rate, but I have the walks in the past like 8 games. 3, 4, 3, 2, 2, 4, 5. And like, most of those games he's going like between 4 and 5 days. It's like the guy has a walk problem, right? I guess we could dive deeper in this since you're better at this than me, DC. Well, what pitches does he throw, and do his pitches like are they worse in Coors? I guess that's a question I should ask you because I think that's always a good one.
Cabrera?
Yeah.
He's fastball heavy. So his problem, he kind of lives and dies by his fastballs a little bit, where if he's locating well, he can, but he just has a hard time throwing strikes. So I guess to answer your question, he would be someone who I would expect to be less affected by Coors Field than most pitchers.
Okay. And yeah, so maybe I will get
still affected, but just a little bit less so.
But yeah, we've talked about this though. Like when you get guys that like have command issues, that's when the ball starts hanging over the plate, right? The walks start adding up. And if we're playing for an outcome of like a GPP winning score, well, like let's look at the ownership and have the conversation. Are they worth playing? Well, right now on SaberSim, I see Doyle at 12%, Cave at 9%, Toglia 7%, like Stallings is coming in at 10%. Like that's kind of low for a 6-game slate for Coors Field, right? Typically the Rockies do come in at like 5% sometimes on slates. But all in all, I think we gotta like the Rockies a little bit. I'm full fading the Marlins, so I'm sure the Marlins will go off for 10 runs today, and it'll be a masterclass game for Miami. But for me, I'm staying away from Miami, and I think I'm just gonna look to play a little bit of Colorado. I do like other games more that we've talked about before, but I just want to be under more on this game and over on some of these other games that we've discussed.
Yeah, I think that. Are you playing any Cabrera himself, did you say?
No, I mean, to be fair, you could make the argument, like, if he's locating, right, and at his, at the upside that he has, I know he has upside. Let's look at the ownership. I never play pitchers really.
10%.
Yeah, I just don't. If I needed the salary, I think it'd make more sense today, and it was like 5%. But I just don't need it, so I'm gonna stay away from the full Miami fade and just a little bit of the Colorado bats.
I'll probably have a Cabrera Madden team, which
I just think it's like, what are you spending on that team? Like, I'm curious.
The Red Sox, right? The Red Sox, top of the Red Sox lineup, expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be on that team. It'd be, you got Duran, Abreu, Casas, Devers, O'Neill. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely pricey for sure. They do have this salary relief could matter to you. I don't know if it matters, but they have 2 catcher eligible players today, and the catcher eligible guy is a 2K option, Mickey Gasper. So like,
no, that's not the Red Sox I want. I want Duran, Abreu, Casas, Devers, and O'Neill.
I get it, but if you want salary relief, DC, like, before that, you didn't even have salary relief. Like, now you have one guy.
I'm not looking for salary relief. I'm looking for places to spend my salary. I don't need any salary relief.
That's fine.
I'm just picture. It's 4K.
I'm just letting the people know that if you build out a team, and like, because the Red Sox are all 4K and above, besides Mickey Gasper, he's the one guy that gives you the salary relief. But it's a fair point.
Yeah. Riley Green out, Tovar out, all these guys that I was gonna, I needed someone to spend on, and now all the expensive bats aren't even in the lineup. So
I think you have a good thought process. Like, if you're you at least go get Duran, Abreu, Casas, Devers, O'Neill, and honestly, at that point, like, you probably have good like a secondary stack as well.
Yeah, no, you get every bat that you want if you play. If you're playing, it's literally just pick your 8 favorite hitters if you play the,
Go spend up for like Luis Arraez. I mean, he's not even second base; he's first base. Go spend up for Xander Bogaerts. Grab like Jackson Mello. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'll be doing. But
I probably won't be doing it, but maybe for you, I'll just do one of it for you.
I appreciate that, man. That's Miami and Colorado. I'm going to have plenty of the game, honestly, sort of by default, because you got to spend somewhere. But the Red Sox are the main place that I'm going to spend on those Ty Madden teams. Trust me, there will be Ty Madden teams in the old portfolio tonight. Seattle and Tampa Bay up next. I think you can start by pretty much crossing off bats from this game. Correct me if you disagree, but I'm not really going to many hitters here. We know how good it is to pitch in Seattle. I've been streaming pitchers, a lot of them way, way worse than Ryan Pepio against the Seattle team in Seattle. So absolutely, of course, in on Pepio, in on Bryce Miller as well, who is just about twice as effective at home as he is on the road so far this season. Doesn't give up home runs there. Strikeout to walk ratio goes through the roof. I mean, it's pretty wild. It's not just him. It's obviously most of that Seattle pitching staff. So both pitchers are a smash here. They're going to be the 2 most popular owned guys for a reason. I really don't have much pushback on that, frankly. Just the ownership. It's the only thing that I really have to say. What about you, man? What are you doing here with Seattle and Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I don't think you'll get much pushback here either for me. I'm not playing any of the bats here. They seem unnecessary. I already bet the under on Seattle today. So, I bet the under on 7 runs. So I don't see myself stacking this up. And you could argue Pepio and Bryce Miller are the 2 best pitchers on the FanDuel slate as well. So, no interest here in the bats, just the pitchers. I'll be overweight on both of them.
All right. Yeah. As promised, let's go back to that 4-game FanDuel slate and run through it quickly here. Yeah, Houston and Philadelphia. This does kick off 25 minutes before the DraftKings slate. It is Zach Wheeler, Ronel Blanco. To me, the Astros bats and Wheeler himself are both kind of cross-offs here. I don't think Wheeler's a terrible play, but I just like the Seattle go. Both pitchers in Seattle better. Obviously, I like Ty Madden better at that price point. So I wouldn't play Wheeler. I'm not going to play Astros bats on my FanDuel teams. I do kind of like the Phillies lefties against Ronel Blanco, at least a little bit. What about you, man, going Philadelphia Astros?
Yeah, seems like an easy spot just to fade all around. Like, I get it. Sure, could the Phillies pop off against Blanco? Yes, but on this slate, I'm not loading up on them. Like, yes, if I got like a Phillies, very low on stack, sure, but I'm going to probably fade this game today on FanDuel. So not even the pitchers. Like, the pitchers don't even feel necessary. I just think there's better pitchers all around.
Yeah, we'll go quickly through these. I didn't dig into these games for the most part, so honestly just have less to say than normal. But Pittsburgh and Chicago Cubs up next. Jameson Taillon, Mitch Keller, hot and humid in Pittsburgh. Winds blowing out to right field. Should play pretty good here for left-handed bats, which is who you want against both of these pitchers anyway, in general at least. So, yeah, the lefties with some speed. That would be Cruz, Reynolds, Bellinger, Crow Armstrong, Happ. I think the bats here look decent. I'm not on either Taillon or Mitch Keller tonight. What about you, Mango?
Yeah, I would not be on Taillon or Keller. I'd be more on the bats. And this Cubs team is hitting the ball a little bit better. This is a good spot for them. And it's fair. Their lineup is just stronger now, right? When you had Bellinger in there consistently, and they've had like one or two guys in and out of the lineup, it feels like, for most of the season. It's definitely a stronger lineup. I definitely don't mind it. Like the top, obviously, the most. Crow Armstrong's always great because of his, stolen base upside. He just gets on, he's running. And the Pirates are definitely in play too. Taillon's very bad against lefties. That lineup's got Reynolds, Cruz, Tellez, Grandal, and then Mr. Bay, who I know he nuked Tyler Glass now. He absolutely nuked him one day, which was crazy. But
Did he? I missed that slate.
It was during the live final. It was like he was like 3 for 3, and I'm just like,
a million steals or something too.
It was just like nuking him. It was so stupid. But I just remember that performance because it was like 3 for 3, and I was like, how is this guy still doing this? But yeah, enough lefties that have power. Typically, I'd look at Reynolds, Cruz, and Tellez. That seems like the ones that you'd want to get to. And you also take Joey Bart out of the lineup, who's like, just a guy that strikes out a lot. Yes, he has power, but just getting contact guys against Taillon is not the worst thing. So I think this Pirates team is definitely in the conversation today.
Yeah, I like the Pirates a little bit here against Taillon. Sets up really well. O'Neal Cruz in particular looks like a super strong play to me. Let's get to, what is there? One more game to talk about here, I believe. New York Yankees rather, and the Washington Nationals. We know what the Yankees are doing. Another 2 home runs for Judge, another home run for Stan yesterday. Mitchell Parker, lefty for the Nationals, has been okay for them, but gives up a ton of power to right-handed hitters. Obviously, Yankees look pretty good here, and I think the Yankees bats are really the full reason to play Madden on FanDuel. That's what I am doing. My current shell on FanDuel has Madden, Torres, Soto, Judge, and Stanton. So there you go. I'm sure that'll be a somewhat popular build, but I do think it's the best build on the slate. So in on the Yankees bats, of course, and then kind of just crossing off Cortez versus Nationals. What about you, Mango? Last game here.
Yeah, last game of the slate. So let's look at the prices on the Yankees. 5,200 for Judge. Stanton is 3,100. He will be very chalky. He actually has a better projection than Soto. Soto 4.4K. Gleyber Torres 2.8. He'll definitely be chalky as well. You can definitely play this team. Just like I would say, don't play Judge, Stanton's I don't know. Do you not play Judge, Stanton, Torres all together? I just think that combo is really chalky. I don't know. But you got to like them. They're going to be a good play. I'll have exposure to the Yankees. I'm playing FanDuel today. We'll see what my teams look like, but I'll definitely have some exposure for sure. I'll probably be either even with the field or slightly underweight and take the punishment. I know Bryce sent the tweet out yesterday that said he's, just fading Judge and going to get pounded the rest of the year. And I'm not saying I'm fading Judge on FanDuel, but I'm pretty much like always like even with the field on him. And the home run doesn't always feel like it helps. I'll say that whenever he goes yard.
Third Schlong's decided he's going to fade Aaron Judge on his march to 70 home runs. That seems.
He said, what was it? Well, let's find the tweet. We got the tweet.
The guy hits like a home run every single day.
He said, refusing to play 50% Judge every slate is going to send me to the poorhouse before NFL even starts. So
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bryce, your take is correct.
Next time you're on a show with him, you can talk him off it. You can tell him, hey, you need to fix this problem that you have.
Yeah, that is a problem. All right. Let's get to the stuff here at the end of the show. Favorite stack, favorite contrarian stack. We'll stick to DraftKings for this one, Mangone. Favorite stack, favorite contrarian stack.
Yeah, if we're just talking DraftKings, let me just pull it up so I don't say the wrong stacks. I'm a Padres guy, so they'll be my top stack of the slate. Contrarian stack, let's see. I'm just checking ownership one last time. I guess it'll be the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays seem like they're going to be under-owned, so we'll go with the Blue Jays as the under-owned stack.
I will go top stack Red Sox and contrarian stack. Probably not even that contrarian, but I do like the Tigers. I'm going Red Sox and Tigers is my two answers. If it's not contrarian enough for you, no, sorry. Most important pitcher, easy one for me, Mr. Ty Madden. Come on down. I'm getting excited, man, going for this Ty Madden gem that's going to deliver probably while all the expensive bats absolutely flop. The most painful way to lose a DFS slate. Your most important pitcher tonight, Mangone. Have you taken off the condoms? Are you riding the Ty Madden train with me? It's not too late. It's not too late, Mangone. You can rebuild your lineups. You got a simulator over there. Get on board the Ty Madden Express.
I mean, maybe I'll have some, but you've talked me into at least like when I run everything, like looking.
I'll even take the blame if he sucks. You can blame me. You can tweet at me. I'll take all the punishment.
All right.
Only applies to you, not the rest of the crowd. No, don't.
I'm gonna do what the people do and like put in like one entry with him and like it's not that much money just so I can yell at you on Twitter like that's all good. The people like to do. And then,
very strategic. I like that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna do that now that you've given me the ability to. So I will roster at least one of him. Pitcher, Pepio. He'll be the guy. I'm just going to be severely overweight on him. I've been playing him all year. It's in Seattle. It's against Seattle. I'm okay with it. So give me Mr. Pepio.
All right. Home run call. Who's going yard?
Going yard. I picked him yesterday, so I'm going to go back to the well. We'll go with Rafael Devers. I know you like Devers, but there's a lot of Red Sox to pick from. But I'll go with Rafael Devers goes yard.
I'll join you for some back-to-back dongage with Mr. Casas, who absolutely nuked one yesterday. Seems like he might be heating up a little bit at the moment. Finally, your favorite hitter on the slate, Mango.
Yeah, favorite hitter on the slate. I think I get him under owned too because he's kind of buried in that Padres lineup. But it's Mr. Jackson Merrill, 4.7K. He'll be the best play on the slate.
Love it. And I'm going with got to be a Red Sox guy. I'm going with my man. Gets me in a little trouble otherwise, but makes up for it with his fantasy performances. Jarren Duran going to get the job done for the Red Sox tonight. That'll do it for this show. We appreciate all you guys watching. We got football, of course, right around the corner, but our MLB show is not going anywhere. We'll be with you guys throughout the rest of the regular season and the playoffs. But we got everything you need over at Run Pure Sports. Best time of year to join. I don't know if we launched an NFL promo code quite yet, but I know you can use RPS15 for 15% off your first weekly, monthly, or full package payment. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Good luck, everyone, in your lineups. Enjoy the Ty Madden gem. And for Mangone, I'm DC. We're out of here.